The ridiculous thing is, you only think this because of my size. What an elementary and wrong understanding of health.
Well, of course they only think that because of your size, because that's what your content is mostly about. If you made a video about your smoking habits, the comments would say the same thing about your smoking habits. People tend to comment on the things you present. Crazy concept, I know.
I had the pleasure of some really hideous content being dropped into my lap yesterday, and now I'm going to make it everybody's problem. Consider this a bonus binging on diet culture. I don't know. This is my most viral video. I'm talking about the obesity paradox. It's got over 2 million views. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. Full disclosure that when a video of mine hits a certain threshold of viral, I don't really interact with it anymore because the comments become very overwhelming.
Translation: the criticism became too much for me to handle.
But occasionally I'll decide to go through the comments again, which is what I did yesterday, and there was a name that popped up several times in that comment section that raised a flag for me to look into it. Do y'all know who Kiana Doherty is? Because if you don't, I'm really sorry that I'm going to bring this into your life now. So there were multiple people on that obesity paradox video telling me that this person has debunked that paradox. Now me, I'm a scientist. Oh, it's been debunked. Let's look into that. Okay. Oh. Let's talk about this in part 2. Surprise! Kiana has 0 fucking credentials.
Fallacious argument aside, the gag is she has cited sources from people who do have credentials. The description of that video is loaded with papers published by academics, and since we're talking about the obesity paradox, why did you fail to mention that your degree in exercise physiology means she is just as qualified as you to speak about it?
And I dug. You know, a bitch digs around for information, okay? Not one to be found. She also has this really weird obsession with fat people, which, I have my tingles. They're going off. There it is. Oh, a formerly fat person who puts the most toxic information out there about fat people. What a shocker. And listen, if the content's not about how toxic body positivity and fat activism is, how dangerous obesity is, it's like weird health conspiracy shit. It's just... And don't worry, I'm not going to subject you to a single clip off of this trash YouTube channel because I could barely stomach it. Now, she is kind enough to timestamp her longer videos, so I did go specifically to her piece about the obesity paradox, which is housed within one of her most popular videos. That would be this one. This is one of her most popular videos. It was the one that people were recommending that I watch, and it's the one that gets talked about all over toxic subreddits. And I want to point out that this video starts with images and video of Tess Holliday with voiceovers of women saying that they feel seen by her and that they love her and idolize her. And that's supposed to be a bad thing. So that's the foot we're starting out on in this. I did not watch the whole thing. I skipped to the obesity paradox, which supposedly is being debunked by this person without a single credential or relevant degree. And as you can guess, the debunking is just literally reading off the same obesity scare tactics that literally every single fucking fat phobe uses.
I let that video run for 96 seconds because I wanted you guys to see how she runs her mouth forever about irrelevant nonsense, and once she does finally get to the point, she just outright lies. If you go to the point in the video where Kiana talks about the obesity paradox, you can see that she explains the paradox, why it's a paradox, and even quotes people who have credentials and published research contradicting aspects of the obesity paradox. What Jock Science is doing here is just lying.
There's this thing that those people always do where they just like speak about these things as if they are fact without a single intersection or nuanced take whatsoever.
Ooh, the irony is thick as peanut butter.
And when you speak about things confidently, people just assume that you know what you're talking about. But what you're actually doing, Kiana, is called confirmation bias.
Oh, the irony's getting thicker. I don't go to one of the most respected academic institutions in the world, but even at my college, if I presented something like this, my instructors would probably beat me to within an inch of my life. First of all, not every article in Google Scholar is peer-reviewed. Some are patents, court rulings, dissertations, preprints, and a bunch of other shit that does not include peer-reviewed research. Secondly, not every peer-reviewed article with obesity paradox is commenting on it to confirm its existence. This is the laziest research I have ever seen, especially from someone hell-bent on mentioning her credentials. I did the same thing as you using PubMed. I searched for obesity paradox, excluding quotation marks, just like you did, because the bare minimum research is difficult, and I got 3,000 results. I then did the same thing with the long debunked idea of spontaneous generation, and got 65,000 results. Well, there we have it. Spontaneous generation must be valid then, because I got way more results. Do you see how silly this argument is? Ideas don't gain validity based on how many academic papers use the phrase.
So I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to give credibility to a YouTuber who has zero fucking credentials besides I lost weight. And to be quite honest, it's insulting that you would think that debunks it. In fact, when she debunks this paradox, she cites virtually nothing.
Wow, another lie. How about this article that she cites that quotes researcher Sadaya Khan, who has published research in this field?
She just speaks about things as though they are fact and we should all accept them, never question them, which is actually the opposite of science. As someone that prides themselves on over-sourcing my claims, fuck y'all for comparing her to me.
Yeah, you don't compare at all. The quality of research you present in this video was abysmal, and that in combination with the arrogance you displayed served to do nothing but damage your credibility.
Interesting take. See, there's something I know that you don't, so let me help you out real quick. Not all fat people are unhealthy.
That depends on how you define health. Typically, fat activists look at health from a more reactive approach rather than proactive. What I mean by that is that they ignore a large portion of preventative health. Under their approach, there are plenty of smokers, heavy drinkers, steroid abusers, etc., who could all be defined as healthy on the basis that their behaviors have currently caused them no health concerns.
Your assumptions about what I do with my time, my energy, how much I put in my body, and how much I expend for my body are guaranteed false. I spend an hour at least in the gym every day. I do yoga, I do cycling, I do boxing, I do aerial yoga, I do all kinds of things with my body. I dance. I am strong and I am healthy. My body looks the way that it does because I learned from a very early age to starve myself. And so my body learned that it needed to carry a lot of fat to survive. That's on diet culture. That's not on me. And it doesn't mean I can't be healthy with a little excess fat. So get off of my page with your fat-phobic comments because you're not welcome here with that energy. You can change your energy or you can leave.
This is such a played out argument. There's been plenty of studies showing that while obese people who exercise do lower their risk of certain diseases, their risk would be lower if they achieved a lower BMI. This Norwegian study published in 2016 looked at the relationship between BMI, physical activity, and diabetes. As a whole, without accounting for physical activity, obese people were 9 to 10 times more likely to have diabetes than someone with normal weight. But when we start looking at physical activity, the story becomes even clearer. Here's this graph to visualize the data. As you can see, obese people who exercise less than 1 time a week are 17 times more likely to have diabetes than normal weight, highly active people. And obese people who are highly active are 13 times more likely. In fact, highly active obese people, according to this study, were still 5.6 times more likely to have diabetes than a normal weight person who only exercised less than 1 time a week. This narrative that, oh, I'm fit but fat, therefore I'm healthy, is just nonsense that isn't based in reality.
This was not a sleigh, this was not iconic, this was not legendary. It was an eating disorder.
I'm 47 now, and I went on my first diet when I was 11. I've probably been on dozens of diets. If you could name a mainstream popular diet, I probably either tried it or went on it or went on something similar to it. And every single one of them was teaching me disordered eating, teaching me horrible eating habits, training me to get fatter and less healthy. And I know this because about 10 years ago, I went through some pretty intensive eating disorder counseling, and everything they told me to watch out for was things that I was taught by all of these diets. Every single diet, every single mainstream diet, look it up. Look at the symptoms in, medical definitions and look at what they tell you to do. They're all eating disorders, all of them.
I try to keep it classy these days, but content like this will never cease to disgust me. I get it, assessing over calories can lead to eating disorders for some, but there's many more things to consider when diagnosing something so complex. Diagnosing any illness, especially a mental illness, on the basis of one characteristic is just silly. On top of that, this makes no logical sense. A diet in this context is an action. It's something you do. You do a diet. You have an eating disorder. Just by the sheer definition of both of these things, it's impossible for a diet to be an eating disorder. It would be like saying smoking is cancer. That's nonsensical. Add to all of this, you are not a mental health professional. Diagnosing illnesses on the internet like this without credentials is just incredibly irresponsible, even if you did have credentials.
You are not entirely wrong. You're misinformed and you're being fat phobic, but you're not entirely wrong. I did used to look like that. You're in a swinging flower pot right now, my bad. But I had a flat stomach, I had abs, I had an 8-pack, I had whatever the fuck, pecs, delts, whatever, like triceps. You could see every muscle in my body. Did all you gym bros think I looked amazing? And had I never experienced more attention from fat phobic people? Yeah. But here's the thing about suppressing your weight, okay? It's like a beach ball. You can push the beach ball down. You can hold it down, take some strength, you'll get tired, but you can hold it down for as long as you can, okay? Holding the beach ball down is suppressing your weight or dieting. When you let go of the beach ball, it will fly up way into the air. It will come back to the water, aka where your body feels best by itself, which is called set point weight, when you are exercising and eating for what feels best for your body. But as soon as you let go of that beach ball that you've been pushing underwater for so long, it's gonna fly up and you will gain weight. I let my beach ball fly up 3 years ago after semi holding it down, sometimes letting it breathe, being in quasi recovery for a long time. It was only when I didn't care that the beach ball was going to fly in the air that I became more comfortable with myself. Our bodies will change for the rest of our lives. We will experience periods of being heavier or smaller. If it's because of whatever, it does not matter. Regardless, bodies change throughout your entire life unless you spend your entire time suppressing it. Now, I'm not saying the gym is some evil place, okay? I used to really enjoy the gym before I developed an exercise addiction. So please don't come on people's videos assuming that they haven't seen other bodies in their life on themselves. When I was suppressing my weight, when I was pushing my beach ball down, I was losing biological functions. I was dying. I was literally dying, bruv. So, okay, I have a tummy now. But are my teeth still wiggly? No. And I would consider that much healthier than having a bit of a tummy or having some bingo flaps, whatever the fuck you guys call it. Just because you've been pushing your beach ball down for a long time doesn't mean other people's arms aren't tired and they want to live their life comfortably and not pushing it down.
Yeah, no shit. So the activities that I was doing led to me being fat. So if you're telling me if I abandoned consciously managing my body weight and going back to those activities that led to me being fat, I'll just get fat again? Who is this surprising to? What?
Oh, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
So this video says, I'm trying to convince my fat family member that fatness isn't actually a bad thing. It's just systemic fat phobia that makes being fat difficult. Ah yes, it's the fat phobia, not the increased risk of heart disease, heart failure, heart attack, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, gout, osteoarthritis, stroke, colon, rectal, breast, ovarian, esophageal, and many other forms of cancer. Personally, if I had to choose between not being able to shop at H&M and gout, I damn sure wouldn't pick gout, but that's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one.
I'm sorry, I just hallucinated. What?
Alright, Martin Luther King. So this video has a white woman with a caption over her talking about how she had a black friend explain to her how her feelings about her body are rooted in white supremacy. On behalf of the black community, I say that your black friend, that I doubt exists, is a Neanderthal, and you are gullible as hell. You deserve each other. This video also seems to be attempting to enforce the harmful stereotype that black men just love fat white women, and that is deeply problematic. If this entire community could just stop discussing race, that would be great. Anyway, I just had to come on camera real quick because this subject, as a black man, is very near and dear to me. What's going on today just reminds me of how the NAAFA started in the 1960s with fat activists trying to connect with the plights of African Americans in this country to garner support. It's incredibly insulting and it needs to stop.